Today, I have a different kind of video because I have a car. We are going to be fixing a sloppy shifter on a Datsun 280ZX. I don't know what all Datsuns this would apply to, but this one specifically has a kind of a sloppy shifter. So that is in gear, this is out of gear, and that's all free play without moving the shift levers at all. In gear, a lot side to side, a little bit side to forward back. Yeah, that's a lot of movement for being in gear. Okay, to fix our sloppy shifter issue, we need a chunk of scrap PEX, a small pick, a razor blade, and a Phillips type screwdriver to remove 2 screws here, and I believe 3 screws inside of this center console. Mine is already unhooked because of interior shenanigans, so I can just lift mine away. There are the 2 mirror adjuster connectors, but these are simple. You just give them a squeeze and they slide right out. So that is simple. So we'll move our shifter out. From here, we have to take that Phillips and remove the 4 screws on holding the shifter boot down, and you want to just unscrew the shift knob while you're at it. We have removed the 4 screws. We can just lift the entire shift boot up over. This gets us into the transmission. You can see all this play again. This boot just lifts up and slides off, and then we're into the shifter linkage. On depending on which side it's set at, you will have a little pin held in by a C-clip. You will remove said C-clip, except my pick sucks. Now managed to release the C-clip by basically prying it upwards so it unclips. There is a small groove on this pin in here. Now you'll want to make sure that this is somewhere safe because you do not want to lose it. So put it somewhere safe, maybe in the ashtray. And then at this point we'll slide this pin out. The shifter will come loose, so we have this pin. It's got a flat side at one point, and that locks against this flat side here, so the pin stays in place. We'll put that aside. Now this just lifts up. Now this has transmission fluid in it, so it will be a little bit greasy. Feel free to just wipe it off. So there are 2 bushings in here. If you're asking why you only see one, then you know why we have a sloppy shifter. The bushing that lives inside this hole right here has entirely disintegrated and landed itself inside the transmission. We'll be making that bushing out of this PEX pipe. If we see, this lower bushing is quite wore out also, but I do not have a replacement for that. I haven't tried to find one, but without having a replacement, I can't do much about that. But I can do a lot about the one that's missing, because it is simple. It is just a sleeve. We take our PEX pipe here, and you notice it does not just slide in here, nor is it the same diameter as our pin. So we'll have to get custom with that. So what we'll do is we'll cut a slot of it the same width as this with our razor blade. So I'm going to do that quickly since I don't have a holder. Okay, now since I have now cut a sleeve of this that is the same width as this gap between the forks that hold the shifter in place, we now have to cut a section out of the middle of it so that it'll shrink down to the correct size for this pin and fit in between the pin and this housing. After cutting about that much out of the diameter of the pipe, which I would say is probably close to 1/3, I worked my way at it right to get it correct. We now have a bushing inside of here. Now, unfortunately, this is a little bit too thick for our pin to fit through. So we will need to use a drill to make this a little bit larger just so our pin fits in there. From my drill bit kit, I have selected a drill bit that is a, we're not going to be able to see this, it's not going to focus, 23/64. It came in this slot here of the Mastercraft cheapo set. 23/64. This one seems to line up most accurately with the diameter of the pin itself. So we're going to use this one, and we're going to ream this now PEX bushing that we have made into the correct size for the pin. Okay, now this part took a bit of finesse because the obviously there's nothing actually holding this bushing in place, and you need it in the shaft to hold its correct size. So having it in here, I basically ran the drill as fast as I can and very, very slowly went at it with the bit. So it would keep catching and then spinning the bushing, but I would just back it out and very, very slowly insert it. And every time I would do that, it would chew a little bit further through. And I just kept doing that until eventually I made it all the way through. It is still snug, but my pin does in fact fit perfectly and snugly inside of my brand new bushing. So now we can take this and install it in the car. Okay, now that we are inside the vehicle, we are going to install it the way it came out, which, if you didn't pay attention, it has a jog in it, so it goes a little bit back and a little bit towards the driver. So we're going to drop it in. This little ball down in the bottom has to get into its little groove. So that's going to take a little bit of maneuvering, but it'll just drop right in. And then at that point, we can, if I can prop up this using my park brake handle. Alright, now that I got the phone propped up, we can take this, take our pin. There's a flat side that goes down. I'm going to put it in the way it came out, even though theoretically it can go from either direction. And it's just going to go right through the middle of this bushing. And if you get a little bit crooked, you can just use a screwdriver to spin it so that it lines up, because there is a flat side that lines up with a flat side cast into the shifter. So it has to be all the way through, and then, as we can see, the little groove in the end of that pin is sticking out enough for us to put our retainer, our E-clip in. I stopped recording just because it's a little bit of a particular process. You really don't want to lose this pin clip, so I got that in. You can see that. You can see a little better on how that flat side goes in. And now our shifter, that's the side shift, but it is much, much tighter than before. See, it's still kind of loose this way, because we cannot fix that lower bushing, but it's magnitudes better this way. There we go. Now we just have to put it back together in the reverse of our removal. So we'll put this bushing back on, or boot. We'll get the main shifter boot up here. It'll just drop into place. Then we'll put the 4 screws back in. Now that we've gotten our boot back in, we can put our shift knob back on, which is a little bit annoying to do at times because it's a plastic sleeve and it'll cross thread real easy. So we'll get that on. We'll bring our center console back. Make sure you move all your junk out of the way, otherwise you'll just have stuff inside of and underneath your center console. Bring this back in. this kind of hooks under the edge of the dash right there, but if you pull it back, you can dump it on its side, and then it makes it easier to plug in these connectors. So, plugging them back in, they're color coded, so they just plug in. It doesn't quite reach here. I normally do this the other way. There we go, that's a better view. Boom. Both plugged in, they're color coded so you can't mess them up. They are the same connector, so you can. And then again, it hooks under in the front, back in, and then we have our screws that go in here, and then the 3 that go down in here. My interior is disassembled right now. I've got no carpet or headliner or rear trim, so this is as far as I'm putting it together today. But yeah, this is the actual movement of the shifter. The actual dead play is that. This is our dead play, which we'll compare that to the way it was before. Okay, in center you can see we had quite a bit of play before. Like it was pretty loosey-goosey, and then when we put it in gear, we had still quite a bit of play, especially side to side. It is much better. Such a massive improvement for no money. That is this little DIY on fixing the sloppy shifter inside my Datsun 280ZX. It is a 1980. The Turbo Zs have a different transmission in them, so I don't know what the shifter in those looks like. This is a 1980 non-turbo, so it has the Nissan transmission, not the Borg T5. Enjoy.